Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope and pray that you and your loved ones are in the best of health and iman. I welcome you to a new seminar. Inshallah, we'll be discussing the Arabic language because most of you who have learned how to read and write in Arabic requested that we go through a little bit of the Arabic language and more specifically Arabic grammar. So as you can see, we're starting with Arabic grammar, and these are the essentials because, as you know, that there are different levels. Obviously, we've got the beginner level where a person needs to learn the essentials, the basics, the foundations, and thereafter they can progress. Inshallah, we'll be discussing how to build a rock solid Arabic language foundation without getting overwhelmed. The reason being, as I mentioned, it's very important to have the correct foundation. Without the correct foundation, a person becomes confused. A person ends up putting time and effort behind those things which may not matter as much. Also, because of the amount of resources, information, YouTube videos, literature, people become overwhelmed and they hear conflicting pieces of advice. You need to memorize, for example, all the rules of Nahw, and you need to memorize so many books, etc. So what we want to do is to establish the foundation without being overwhelmed, and inshallah this will be a straightforward, simple explanation, and it will be the basis, the foundation, the first lesson to a wider course which inshallah I'll mention. For those who make it all the way to the end, inshallah I'll give you the summary notes of all the rules that are mentioned today, as well as early bird access for the full course which will be launching bi'idhnillah at the beginning of August. So that's for those who stay all the way till the end. A lot of people ask, where did I learn the Arabic language? Alhamdulillah, I started learning the Arabic language at the age of 13 here in Harare after having memorized the Quran. We went through Quranic Arabic as well as Nahw and Sarf. Thereafter, I went to Medina where I studied in the university. I learned 2 years in Ma'had al-Lughat al-Arabiyyah, the Arabic Language Institute. Thereafter, Saudi High School, all our studies were in Arabic. Thereafter, my BA in Kulliyat al-Sharia. Thereafter, my Masters in Islamic Economics and Finance. All that was in the Arabic language. We learnt in Arabic, we read in Arabic, we wrote in Arabic, and we presented in Arabic. And after going through and learning a lot when it comes to the Arabic language, walillahi alhamd, I thought it's important to summarize a bit of what I've learned and try and give it to those who are interested in learning. A lot of you who've started your Arabic language journey would have heard about Nahw, Arabic grammar, which is extremely important. And I'm here to tell you that Nahw is easy, bi'idhnillah, if you're able to understand a few things. Number one, the broader picture of the Arabic language. So when you zoom out, you're able to understand and look at this beautiful language from a broader perspective, and you're able to put everything in its correct place. What tends to happen at times, a person may be concentrating or going deep into a mas'ala which doesn't bear major fruit because of them not understanding the broader picture of the Arabic language. And inshallah you'll find throughout this series I've put together a bird's eye view where you can zoom out, understand where you are, so as to make it easy. Also, I want you to imagine this building. As you can see, it's built with 3 levels or 3 floors. It has a foundation, then it's got an outside structure. Some people, for example, they may be only concentrating on this mas'ala and going so deep, forgetting the whole building or forgetting the bigger and broader picture of the Arabic language, and hence after a lot of time and effort spent they feel they haven't progressed. So inshallah, Nahw is easy if you're able to understand the main objective of it, the broader picture. Number 2, you've got to understand the reasoning. Sometimes people say you just need to memorize rules and regulations, and this is like this because you just have to know it. And everything has a reason. And when you understand the reasoning behind the rules, it becomes easy for you to implement. Number 3, inshallah, I've put together a step-by-step approach that, bi'idhnillah, is neither overwhelms nor falls short. Sometimes what tends to happen is people put too much information and it's not step by step. So if you go to that building, for example, you cannot start building the windows on the 3rd floor when you don't have a 1st floor. You cannot concentrate on the roof when you haven't even put down the concrete slab at the bottom. You have to go step by step in systematic order. There's a few false beliefs I'd like to address, especially for those learning Nahw, that they may have heard. Number 1 is people believe, or some people at least believe, Nahw is hard because you need to memorize hundreds of rules. You need to memorize all the mutun, etc. And I'm here to tell you that that is not the case. Nahw, bi'idhnillah, is easy and you don't need to memorize hundreds of rules. Rather, when you're able to understand the rule, you're able to implement it, practice upon it, bi'idhnillah, it will come to you naturally. Number 2 is some people say it's too complicated for me. And as I mentioned, inshallah, we'll go through it step by step, breaking it down so that you're able to, for example, if you've got a building, you're able to put it together brick by brick. You'll understand every step before you go further to avoid it being complicated. Also, we won't go deep into masail that don't really have a great benefit. Sometimes you find there's a difference of opinion amongst the people of lugha, the people of language, and it doesn't really make a big difference in real life. Rather, it's just a mas'ala that's argued. Number 3, some people believe that you have to travel to an Arabic institute, you have to learn in an Arabic institute or go and live in an Arabic speaking country. While that is highly recommended if possible, it's not always accessible to everybody, number 1. And number 2, when it comes to Nahw, you find that Arabic grammar, a lot of times, even in the Arabic institutes in some of the countries, not all, a lot of emphasis is not placed on Nahw. So inshallah, we'll go through this. A person may ask, why Nahw? Why are you starting with Arabic grammar? Why didn't you start with, for example, spoken Arabic? Why didn't you start with sarf, etc.? And here I'll explain. Obviously, number 1 is it was requested by a lot of people. Number 2 is I want you to look at this building again. And as we go through, you'll find me giving the example of this building a lot, and I want you to picture it. Here is a building with a structure. It's got a foundation. The main pillars are present in order for this structure to stand. Then you've got the finishing, the interior of a building. Now remember, you cannot finish this room without having built the building in the first place. Where are you going to put it? Similarly, when it comes to the Arabic language, you've got that which is foundational, especially for those who are not native speakers, those who haven't grown up speaking Arabic, learning Arabic, having lived in an Arabic country. You've got to understand that there's those things which are foundational and you need to start with them. And then there's those things with or in Arabic known as or coming under ulumul lugha, different sciences under the Arabic language, which are complementary. Not to say that they are not important. However, for you, especially those who are starting, you need to concentrate on the foundation. You need to concentrate on building or erecting your structure first before you can go into the finer details. And I'll give you an example. Here I've put together what makes up the Arabic language. So as I mentioned, ulumul lugha, the different sciences which make up the Arabic language, they are those which are foundational, those which are primary. Number 1 is al-lugha, the language itself, and that entails the sounds, the words, etc. Somebody learns how to pronounce, somebody learns how to read, somebody learns how to write. These are foundations coming under the actual language itself, which is important. Number 2, you've got a Nahw, the grammar. And this whole science is speaking about the last letter or the ending of the word, how it's affected. And this is what we're going to be discussing. Number 3 is as-sarf. Sarf is to do with the structure of the word, and you'll see the differences. Number 4 is al-ma'ani. These are to do with the meanings of the words. For those of you starting, you've got to concentrate on these 4. You've got to accumulate as much as you can, because these are generally the foundations or the primary sciences that you need to concentrate on. So again, to repeat, number 1, al-lugha, the actual language. Number 2, nahw. Number 3, sarf. Number 4, al-ma'ani. Then there's that which is complementary. And I'm not even going to go into it deeply, but I've mentioned a few. So for example, you've got al-bayan, al-badi', al-urud, al-qawafi. That's all to do with Arabic on a deeper level, your poetry, etc. So I'm not even going to go into this, but we've got to start here. And I mentioned we're going to start with Nahw. My method of teaching this course, bi'idhnillah, reason I mention this is because people, they have their own preferences. So I thought I'd make it clear from the very beginning. Number 1, every chapter we start off with, we'll start with an example. Why? The minute you hear a few examples, you're able to picture and understand what's going on. Number 2, after that, I will explain the rule, bi'idhnillah. So we'll go through the example, thereafter the rule, thereafter we'll practice upon the rule. And after that, a summary at the end of every lesson. And at the beginning of the new lesson, we'll have a recap. Usually, a lot of people who teach these courses, or you go through any course for that matter, they give you homework and exercises to do. While that's important, a lot of us, including myself, through these courses, we don't end up doing the homework. Hence, whatever needs to be done, inshallah, we'll keep it in the lesson. And I'll try to keep these lessons within a consistent time frame without any fluff. Sometimes you find a lesson going on for too long. Some people prefer it that way. I personally don't. I'd rather get straight into the point with a few examples and then carry on to the next and the next and the next. Bi-idhnillah. And what's our goal from all of this? To achieve basic fluency while avoiding errors. Number 2, to understand the reasoning behind the changes that occur. Number 3, to complement your Arabic and Islamic knowledge and hopefully lay the foundation to advance in your Arabic journey. This is your journey. I want you to picture yourself. You all at different levels. There's those who might be starting from the very beginning. There's those who may have heard a little bit about Nahw, Sarf, etc. They may have started, however, they may have left for various reasons. At times, people become bored, it becomes overwhelming, you get busy in life. And then there's those who've mastered it. Inshallah, this is applicable to every single person. If you're starting off, bi'idhnillah, at least you'll get a good idea. If you've already started, inshallah, this will help you to maintain and retain that which you've learned, and hopefully you learn something new. And for those who are at an advanced level, inshallah, this will be a recap. Hopefully you can go out and teach later on, bi'idhnillah. Getting into the actual Nahw. So this is the introduction. We'll start off with the example. Zayd. The name is Zayd. When you look, at times you'll find that Zayd, the person, when he's written about, spoken about, etc., at times people may say Zaydun with a dhamma at the end. At times they may say Zaydan with fatha at the end. At times they may say Zaydin with kasra at the end. If you notice and look carefully, you will see that Zayd, the person, the word, is the same person we're talking about. The name is the same. However, there's a slight change on the end. Zaydun, Zaydan, Zaydin. Bearing that example in mind, we get to the definition of Nahw. Nahw is understanding the rules that affect the last part of a word. So for example, Zaydun, in Nahw, we're not interested in the structure of the word. We're interested in the ending. We're interested in the ending. Zaydun. Why is it Zaydun? Or why is it Zaydan? We're interested in the end. Or why is it Zaydin? And if you had to look carefully, what are we trying to do? We're trying to understand what's changed when it comes to the last part of the word. What's changed? Number one, why does it change? Why does Zaydun sometimes become Zaydan and sometimes become Zaydin? Why does it change? And number three is, as you learn further, that there's certain words that may come before a letter, etc., and they affect the words that are coming after it. So if these words had to come, for example, how does it change the word coming after? So three basic and simple things you've got to bear in mind. Number one, when it comes to these letters, what changed? Why does it change? And how does it change? And Nahw as a whole is summarized into this. You're understanding the rules that affect the last part of the word. Why is this important? A person may say, why is Nahw important? I'll give you a few different reasons. Number one, the Quran was revealed in the Arabic language. Hence, some of the ulama mention it's compulsory for the one learning the Quran and the Sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam to know Nahw, Arabic grammar. Why? Because a small change, or what seems to be a small change in the fatha or the dhamma or the kasra, affects the meaning tremendously. And I'll give you an example. In the Quran, Allah Jalla wa Ala says, وَإِذِ ابْتَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ رَبُّهُ بِكَلِمَاتٍ. He says, remember when your Lord tested Ibrahim alayhi salam, or when Ibrahim alayhi salam was tested by his Lord. وَإِذِ ابْتَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ رَبُّهُ. If somebody had to say, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, we seek Allah's protection, وَإِذِ ابْتَلَى, remember when Ibrahimu Rabbahu, just a change in a dhamma and a fatha, it completely changes the meaning. So much so, in that instance, it would mean remember when Ibrahim tested his Lord. So just a small change in a fatha or a dhamma or a kasra can change the meaning completely. Hence, for those studying the Quran and the Sunnah, the ulama mention it's compulsory for them to know ilmun nahw. Number two, it also helps you to understand Islamic rulings, and depending on whether a word may have a fatha or dhamma or kasra in certain ayat, certain ahadith, because the meaning changes, the Islamic ruling would also change. And inshallah, we'll go through some of the examples. Number three, some of the ulama like An-Nawawi rahimahullah and others mention that this knowledge is fard kifayah upon the ummah, meaning it's compulsory that at least a few people amongst the ummah learn it, because through it the deen is established, the understanding of the Quran and the Sunnah is maintained. And at times it may be fard ain, it may be obligatory on certain people, certain specific individuals. And bear in mind that it's a tool, an essential tool for understanding the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam. A person may ask, how was the knowledge of Nahw compiled? Did they have books at the time? We know the Arabs to be those who didn't read and write. Where did this Nahw come from? It's mentioned that at the time of Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu, he ordered a man called Abu al-Aswad ad-Du'ali to compile the knowledge of Nahw, Arabic grammar. And they mention a story. They say that one day Abu al-Aswad ad-Du'ali rahimahullah, he entered and he was with his daughter. And his daughter, looking up at the sky, she said, Ma ajmalu sama. Ajmalu with a dhamma. The Arabic meaning for that with a dhamma is, what's beautiful in the sky? So her father answers. He says, oh my daughter, nujumuha, its stars are beautiful. And she says, no, I'm trying to say the sky itself is beautiful. So she had to say, or he corrects her and says, rather you have to say ma ajmala sama. Ajmala with a fatha. And it's mentioned that he came to Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu. In other riwayat of the story is mentioned Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu heard this mistake. And one of the reasons for it is because Initially, the Arabs were amongst themselves, they didn't mix with others, so they maintained their language. The minute the moment the Islamic Empire started to expand, there were those who were non-Arabs who started to learn Arabic. Obviously, they had their own languages which may have been similar, they came with their mistakes, etc. And the general masses became a lot weaker when it came to this language. So Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu, it's mentioned that he told Abu al-Aswad al-Du'ali some of the most important foundational principles when it came to Nahw, Arabic grammar, and he told him to compile it. So that's where it came from. Now we want to move on to speech, or what's known as al-kalam. Why? Because us as nuha, or people of Nahw, we are interested in speech. And for anything to be considered speech, it's got to fulfill certain criteria or fulfill certain rules. So al-kalam, speech. I want you to look at the examples and inshallah we'll go through what's the common denominator between them. Number one, هذا بيت. This is a house. Number two, كتب الطالب الدرس. كتب الطالب الدرس. The student wrote the lesson. Number three, البنت في الحديقة. The girl is in the garden. What you'll notice is these three sentences have the prerequisites, the rules of being considered as speech amongst the nuha. What do you notice? Number one, you'll find that all these are spoken words. Number two, you'll find that there's more than one word. So for example, here you've got two, here you've got three, here you've got three. Number three, you'll find that all these are full sentences. So هذا بيت, this is a house. In Arabic, a full sentence, similar to English, is that sentence which, if you had to speak, it gives benefit and the one listening is not left confused. They don't have to ask for more information. And number four, it's in the Arabic language. And the reason I go over this, even though a person may ask what's the benefit, a lot of times when you open the books of Nahw, the Mutun, etc., you'll find that a lot of them start with Kalaam. So for example, in Ajur Rumiyah, he starts off with Al-Kalamu. He's telling you what is Kalaam, what is this speech according to the Nuha. Al-Lafth, that which is spoken. Al-Murakkab, that which is made of more than one word. Al-Mufid, that which is of benefit. So for example, if a person had to say Zaydun, Zayd, what about him? So it's got to be a full sentence or that which has benefit. And number four, in the Arabic language. When you understand this, you'll find that all speech in Arabic language boils down or can be defined under one of three categories. Every single. So I give you an example so you notice. In English, Muhammad. Then here's another sentence. She ate. Okay. Number three, and. What do you notice? You'll find that Muhammad is a noun in English. A noun meaning a naming word. She ate, you'll find this is a verb. It's a doing word, an action word. Number three, and. The word and is a conjunction and it comes under what's called a particle, meaning anything that's not a noun, a naming word, or a verb, an action word, falls under this category. And these particles are generally those words which don't have a full meaning if they are alone. They need other words to bring out their full meaning. After you understand the example, then you realize that in Arabic there are three types of words. Either they are nouns, which are known as ism, or they are verbs known as fi'l, or they are particles known as harf. And I'll give you a few examples and we'll go through some of the definitions. So here's a quick visual board, and this diagram we'll be taking with us throughout the course. We'll be building on it bi'idhnillah. So you find we've put nouns, ism, on the far right. Example of a noun, for example, Muhammad. And then you've got fi'l, which is a verb. Example of a fi'l, qara'a, he read. And then you've got harf here on the left, which is a particle. And underneath all of these, we'll find we'll put the different rules bi'idhnillah. Let's start off with nouns. So if you look here, you've got Muhammad, Kitabun, which means a book, Jamilatun, beautiful. Muhammad, the name of a person, the name of a thing, and here you've got a describing word. What you notice is every single one of these is a naming word. Number two is they all have an intrinsic meaning. So the word kitab, it has a full meaning. The word in and of itself, it can stand alone and give you meaning. And number three is it's divorced of time, i.e., it's not related to the past, the present, or the future. If somebody had to say kitabun, a book, it doesn't give you any indication of past, present, or future. And when it comes to the Arabic language, nouns, or what's known as ism, fills these categories. Number one, it's a naming word. Number two is it has an intrinsic meaning. And number three is it's divorced of time. Then you've got verbs. So here, for example, you got ذهب, he went, يكتب, he writes, or اقرأ, which means read. What you'll notice is these are verbs. The common denominator between them all is they are action or doing words. They are telling us about an action. Either somebody's going, or they're writing, or they're told to read. Number two is they have meaning. So they carry a full meaning in and amongst themselves. Number three is they are connected to time. And this is the difference between nouns and verbs in the Arabic language. So you find this is connected to the past. He went. When? In the past. Yaktubu. He writes. Either he's writing now or he's going to write in the future. Connected to time. Iqra. Read. Meaning now. Also connected to time. And then those words which are neither nouns nor verbs, they fall under what's known as harf, huruf, particles. So for example, al-kitabu fil haqibati, and the reason I gave the full sentence is, we mentioned at the very beginning, these huruf, if they come alone, they don't give a full meaning. They've got to be complemented by other words. So fi, for example, is a harf. It means in. If you had to use the word fi only, it doesn't give you any meaning. In could be in the house, in the plane, wherever it may be. Min, from. Ji'tu min al-maktabi. I came from the office. The word min is a harf because it's neither a noun nor a verb. Then, lam adhab ila al-madrasati. Two. The common denominator between all of these is they need other words to fully express. Now, what's to come? After understanding what's considered to be Kalaam, speech amongst the Nuha, and you're able to categorize that every single word in the Arabic language is either a noun, ism, or it's a verb, fi'l, or it's a harf, particle, then you find that there are different rules for every category. So for example, nouns, ism. Inshallah, in the following modules, we'll go through the sentence structure, what's known as jumla ismiya, when it comes to nouns. Also the different types of nouns. And we'll go through what affects these nouns. Remember, in Nahw, we're speaking about the end of a word. For example, Muhammadun, Muhammadan, Muhammadin. How are they affected? So for example, they mention inna wa akhawatuha. The word inna, when it comes before a name, before a noun, it affects the ending of this noun. Inshallah, we'll go through that. Also, kana wa akhawatuha. The word kana wa akhawatuha, meaning and its sisters, those which fall under the same category, they also affect the word. Then you've got verbs, fi'l. Number one, the sentence structure, what's known as jumla fi'liya. What is the sentence structure made up of when it comes to verbs? Number two is the three types of verbs. Inshallah, we'll go through them. Number three, what's known as nawasib and jawazim, that which makes a verb either have a fatha or a sukoon, etc. All these, we have to go through the rules, understand them, practice upon them, and together we're able to take it step by step until we accumulate a decent amount of knowledge to be able to help us when it comes to our Arabic grammar. After that, number 3 is huruf, and inshallah we'll go through what's known as huruful jar. Now, I just want to touch on your Arabic journey. Again, I want you to imagine this structure. Nahw is part of your main Arabic structure. It affects the last part of the word. Then you've got the actual lugha, the language itself, the sounds, the words, etc. Then you've got sarf, which is to do with the structure of the word, and that is knowledge on its own, inshallah. After Nahw, we'll go to sarf, bi'idhnillah. These two generally go hand in hand. And then you've got al-ma'ani, the meanings of the words. If you're able to focus on these one by one, inshallah, you're able to build your foundation and ascend when it comes to the Arabic language. And inshallah, we're going to start with Nahw. Thereafter, we'll go to sarf. Thereafter, we'll have a class on spoken Arabic, which includes the meanings of words, how to make sentences, etc. So this is just the very beginning. For those who've made it all the way up to here, mashallah, it shows that you're interested, number one, in Nahw, Arabic grammar. Number two is it shows that you know its importance. As I mentioned, Nahw, extremely important. So I've left the summary for this lesson, lesson number 1, at the bottom. Inshallah, you'll probably find a link pop up, or you'll find it in your email. Number 2 is, right now, it's the end of June. We've got the month of July coming up. Bi-idhnillah, this course will be ready in the first week of August. For those who go through the course completely, you'll be able to understand the essentials of Arabic grammar, bi-idhnillah. If you want to purchase it today or before the launch, inshallah, you will get the best price, along with the complete workbook, which I'll put together, which will contain a summary of all the lessons that will be taught in the course. And if you're not yet ready, at least you've got an idea of Arabic grammar, and inshallah, we hope to see you in another workshop. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.